Hi, I'm Jolene Gutierrez. I am a teacher and librarian at this school. I'm actually in our school's library after school hours. I'm also the author of BIONIC BEASTS, Saving Animal Lives with Artificial Flippers, Legs, and Beaks. And I am excited to share chapter 1 with you. This is Lola's new flipper, a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle's story. And the photo says, Lola swims in her habitat at the Key West Aquarium in Key West, Florida. On July 27th, 2002, a female Kemp's Ridley sea turtle weighing less than 1 ounce, or 28 grams, was found on Mustang Island, Texas. The hatchling was in pain and unable to swim. She had washed up on the beach and was partially buried in sand. A fish had bitten off part of her right front flipper and injured her spine and intestines. She was so weak that she couldn't pull herself from the sand. Tony Amos, wildlife rehabilitator and director of the Animal Rehabilitation Keep, or ARC, welcomed the little turtle to their center in Port Aransas, Texas. Staff estimated she was a few weeks old and gave her an identification number, LK-02-112. Even though turtle LK-02112 was injured, staff at ARC hoped to release her back into the ocean once she healed. They tagged her with a tiny tracking device the size of a grain of rice. Over the next 11 months, the turtle grew larger and stronger and learned to swim with her injured flipper. Then, on June 3rd, 2003, ARC staff sailed 8 miles, 13 kilometers, out into the Gulf of Mexico to set her free. I will come back at the end and read our sidebars. Unfortunately, the next day, a mother and her children found turtle LK-02112 as they were exploring the beach. Fishing line was wrapped so tightly around what remained of the little turtle's right front flipper that most of the flipper eventually had to be amputated. LK-02112 was sent to the Texas State Aquarium in Corpus Christi, where staff gave her a name, Lola. Lola now weighed about 8 pounds, 3.6 kilograms, but she spent her days restlessly swimming in small circles, bumping against the side of the tank. Her intact left flipper was stronger than her residual right flipper, so she couldn't swim in a straight line. Because of her injuries, aquarium staff decided she'd need to live in a rescue center or aquarium for the rest of her life. On April 12, 2008, the Key West Aquarium, KWAQ, in Florida, offered a home to Lola. At this point, she weighed 55 pounds, 25 kilograms, but even though she was growing, Lola didn't seem happy. Greg Gerwin, former curator at KWAQ, said, with her flipper missing, Lola would only swim in circles, which caused her a lot of discomfort during feeding. She would pretty much just stay at the bottom, not moving around that much. It's actually kind of sad to watch because these turtles out in the ocean swim freely, and they have the ability to move so gracefully. She didn't. Then, Douglas Mader, the veterinarian at KWAQ, got an email message from college students at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, WPI. Vivian Liang, Samantha Varela, and Iak Wong were working on a capstone design project and wanted to create a replacement flipper for a sea turtle amputee. In this photo, we have Iak Wong and Samantha Varela work with Douglas Mader and Greg Gerwin to prepare Lola for her prosthesis. Gerwin and Mader sent photographs, measurements, dimensions, and x-rays to the students. Wong noted, her swimming capabilities are hindered due to the amputation. She has trouble balancing, turning, and avoiding collisions with her tank. Lola's swimming patterns likely cause excess stress on her remaining healthy limbs. Lola is a very young sea turtle, but With her amputation stressing her remaining limbs, her life expectancy was shortened. The WPI students worked to create a prosthetic flipper for Lola. Liang, Varela, and Wang researched sea turtle anatomy and learned about the motions turtle flippers make while swimming. They planned to create a biomimetic flipper that would fit Lola specifically and mimic the way her healthy flipper moved. Turtle flipper movements in the water are much like bird wing movements in the air, so the team used a wind tunnel to test the performance of miniature flipper prototypes. Once they'd found a flipper shape that performed the way they wanted it to in a wind tunnel, the students 3D printed a life-size hard plastic flipper template. The team used that flipper to make a negative mold by pouring silicone around the flipper and letting it cure, then removing the plastic flipper from inside the now hardened silicone mold. They used this popsicle-type mold and poured in a flexible silicone that would become Lola's new flipper. Varela said, "We tried to use a type of silicone that was just right in flexibility so that it would be able to push the water out of the way during swimming while bending to the water at the same time, to mimic the sea turtle's natural wing-like flying in the water movement." In 2016, Varela and Wang traveled to Florida to fit Lola with the prosthesis. They affixed the silicone flipper to a socket they'd designed to surround and protect Lola's residual flipper, and then attached the entire device to Lola with Velcro straps that were riveted onto the socket. Kemp's Ridley sea turtles are known for thrashing their flippers and biting humans who try to interact with them. According to curator Jenya Yurkis, Lola is usually notoriously bitey. But when the WPI students fitted her new flipper on her, she let them strap the prosthesis on without ever trying to bite them. Then they released Lola into the water. Would Lola's right shoulder muscle be strong enough to move the flipper blade through the water? Yes! She was a fast learner, Varela said. The biomimetic design of the prosthesis may also have helped Lola learn to use the flipper. According to Varela, this was a prosthetic flipper, one of the very first of its kind, that attempted to imitate the sea turtle's natural swimming locomotion called the power stroke. Soon Lola was wearing her prosthetic flipper all day. She seemed to enjoy the speed her new flipper gave her, only resting when staff took the prosthesis off at night. Because of the injuries Lola sustained after being tangled in fishing line, she can never be released into the wild. Instead, KWAQ staff use Lola and her story to help teach others about the threats sea turtles face and how we can help. Watching the sea turtle dive and swim, Gerwin said, "Now, with her prosthetic flipper, we have hope for Lola." And this is a photo of Lola power stroking with her new prosthetic flipper. So back to the sidebars about Kemp's Ridley sea turtles. Kemp's Ridley sea turtles are critically endangered. In fact, they're the most endangered sea turtle in the world. These turtles are named after Richard Kemp, a fisherman from Florida who discovered and studied them in the late 1800s. Most Kemp's Ridleys live in the Gulf of Mexico. They are one of the smallest types of sea turtles, living approximately 50 years, weighing an average of 75 to 100 pounds, 34 to 45 kilograms, and growing to about 24 inches, 61 centimeters long. Kemp's Ridleys have become endangered due in large part to threats like pollution, the destruction of their nesting areas, and poachers hunting them for their eggs, meat, and shells. The nesting habits of Kemp's Ridleys put them at additional risk. Scientists hypothesize that sea turtles use Earth's magnetic fields and a heightened sense of smell to practice natal homing, returning to the beach they hatched from. This means that Kemp's Ridleys return to the same beaches year after year. Kemp's Ridleys are also the only sea turtles that regularly lay their eggs during the day. Both of these behaviors make their nests easier for poachers to find. People who steal the eggs take them to cities where they are sold to restaurants and are eaten as a delicacy. Kemp's Ridleys are protected by various countries and are internationally listed as critically endangered, though, so hunting them and disturbing their nesting sites is illegal. Poachers may be required to pay fines and even sentenced to jail for their crimes. The plastic trash in our oceans poses another danger for Kemp's Ridleys and other sea turtles. Sea turtles like to eat jellyfish, and they may mistake things like plastic bags and plastic fishing lines or nets as jellyfish. When the turtles try to eat the trash, they can suffocate or experience other serious injuries. The rare Kemp's Ridley sea turtles are an olive green color. The color helps them blend in with the sandy bottoms of shallow waters. When a sea turtle eats a plastic bag, the trash can suffocate the turtle or become stuck in its digestive tract, causing pain and even death. Updated flipper. After Varela, Wang, and Liang completed their project and graduated from college, a second WPI student team decided to help improve the fit of Lola's flipper so she wouldn't develop pressure sores. They brainstormed ways to attach the flipper, including a glove design and a jacket and harness design. The team hoped the prosthesis they created could be used for other turtles, including Lola's tank mate, Rocky, a green sea turtle who lost his right flipper after being hit by a boat. The students reached out to the Hangar Clinic and prosthetist Kevin Carroll. In 2007, Carroll had created a prosthetic tail for Winter, a dolphin who lost her tail after getting caught in a crab trap. Carroll thought that some of his patented materials might help cushion Lola and Rocky's residual flippers. After creating prosthetic flippers for the turtles, Carroll fitted them with their new prostheses and released them back into their tank. This was Rocky's first time with a prosthesis, but even so, Carroll said, Lola and Rocky took to their new flippers in no time. And each of the chapters has an activity at the back. This activity for this chapter is called Floppy Flippers. The WPI students who designed Lola's prosthesis had to experiment to find the right consistency of the silicone they used for her flipper. The following recipes use dessert gels rather than silicone. Test these recipes and then experiment with them. What happens if you add less water? What happens if you add more gelatin or agar-agar? What happens if you tilt the pan and the gel is thinner on one side than the other? Try to cut flipper shapes out of your gel and test how they might function in the water. Does your gel formula need to be firmer, more flexible? How can you change it? These are some of the questions WPI students asked themselves as they created Lola's flipper. Supplies needed: 1 cup boiling water, 3-ounce package of gelatin dessert, such as Jell-O, any flavor, 9 by 13-inch casserole dish. Number 1, get an adult's help to bring the water to a boil. Number 2, pour the package of gelatin powder into your casserole dish, and once the water is boiling, add it to the casserole dish and stir until the gelatin is completely dissolved. Number 3, refrigerate until set, approximately 4 hours. Alternate recipe: 1 cup boiling water, 3-ounce package of Jell-O gelatin, any flavor, 1/4 ounce envelope Knox gelatin, unflavored gelatin. 9 by 13-inch casserole dish. Follow the instructions from above. This version will be firmer than the first version. Vegetarian, vegan recipe. 3 teaspoons agar-agar powder, 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of fruit juice, 1/8 cup of sugar, optional, and a 9 by 13-inch casserole dish. Number 1, mix all ingredients in a saucepan and bring to a boil, stirring frequently. Number 2, boil for 2 minutes, still stirring before pouring into a casserole dish. Number 3, refrigerate until set. Note, this version won't be quite as flexible as the gelatin versions. And that is the end of Lola's chapter. There are stories about 4 other animals in this book, including a dog named Cassidy, an elephant named Moshe, a goose named Vittoria, and a pig named Pirate. I hope you join me in reading all of them, and thank you so much for listening.